Hi, I'm Sally Thibault and welcome to the Stronger, Leaner, Lighter show. Today we're talking how to overcome the fear to be 100% courageously, authentically you. Can't wait to get into this show today. Hello, I'm going to start all that again. I just realized I was muted. Hello and welcome to the Stronger, Leaner, Lighter show. Today I am your host, Sally Thibault. Today we're talking how to be 100% courageously, authentically you by overcoming fear. You know, the biggest thing that challenges most of us to speak our truth is fear, holding us back from stepping into being our true selves. Now, what I really find interesting these days is whenever I'm choosing a topic to speak about, it appears to me that I must, be linked in or lined in with somebody, because all of a sudden this week, I did the outline for this show last week, and all of a sudden this week, I have seen people talking about authenticity, about showing up, being courageously authentic. Good morning, Sandy. Hey, Dee, again. Lovely to have you here. Thank you so much for being here. So I'm going to talk about overcoming fear to be courageously 100% you. And this week, I'm going to do a tapping at the end. So hang on to that. I'm going to do a tapping at the end to help you release the fear around being courageously, authentically you. Now, let me talk about what happens when you are out of alignment with being courageously, authentically you. Number one, it often shows up depression, anxiety, or weight gain. That's how it appears when you're not being 100% authentically you. That emotion gets trapped and it shows up in other ways. It also shows up as sabotage, as self-sabotage in particular, and particularly when it comes to weight, that we will sabotage ourselves by choosing foods that alleviate the fear of not being yourself. So we'll choose foods often that give us that serotonin boost, the simple sugars, the simple carbohydrates, because it gives you a little bit of a serotonin boost. And then that just helps to relieve that anxiety and that pressure. Hey, Sandy, I love how you taught me to feel the fear and do it anyway. And yes, that's what's coming up this week. Okay, this is really interesting, Sandy, what you just said, because as I mentioned, I did the outline for this show last week, and then all of a sudden this week, I'm seeing it everywhere. Lots of people I'm following are talking about authenticity. A lot of people are talking about speaking your truth. It just seems to be happening everywhere. And I always think that means it's up for discussion, and it means that it's up for us to clear. And that's why I want to do the tapping session at the end today. So, how does anxiety get derailed? How do we go from that child that probably had no filter to say what we want? You know, because we're all born with authenticity. We're all just born with it, just who we are. But it's the people and the words, events of your past that cause doubt. You may have been told, and I was just in a group chat with my online Stronger, Leaner, Lighter gals, and we were talking about, you know, growing up in the 60s and the 70s in particular, where it's not like today where we encourage our girls to speak up. We actually, probably most of us, were told to be quiet, stop talking, you talk too much. Who do you think you are? What makes you think you're so special? We grew up with this. And so as we get to adulthood, of course, those stories still hang around, and that damn old amygdala sits right at the back of the primitive brain, reminding us every time we're going to speak our truth that something might happen. We might upset somebody. We might step on somebody's toes. And for most of us, we really struggle with that, speaking with the truth. And am I going to be criticized or judged, or am I going to upset somebody? So when you have fear around speaking your truth, It's about the people, words, and events of your past that created doubt with you. Interesting. We just had a discussion too in the group about, probably many times in your life, you could go back and look at the sliding door moments, where something happened, an opportunity appeared to you, and you chose not to take it for whatever reason, doubt, fear, overwhelm, not thinking I'm good enough, and you chose another path. But now that you know better, if you went back, would you look at it differently? And it doesn't mean that your life doesn't end up where it's supposed to be. I always think that happens, but it's often that you're given an opportunity to step into the authenticity, but we back away because of what we believe about ourselves. And so right now, the world is calling for people to be 100% authentically themselves. So, we end up people pleasing. Hands up, give me a heart or a like. If you've been a people pleaser in the past, if that's been part of your personality, people pleasing, and that's not necessarily saying yes to everything, but it's not wanting to upset somebody or not wanting to cause that fuss. Let me know. I got a few hearts. Yeah, people pleasing, huge. You cannot be 100% authentically you, and as beautifully Brene Brown puts it, courageously authentic, because that requires courage, if you're in people pleasing or if you're scared of upsetting people. And I'll share with that in a minute why that is. So you don't want to stand out or cause a fuss. Many of us grew up in that time where you didn't want to show off. You called a show off, or who do you think you are? And so we learned very quickly in our lives to not say anything. You may also have fear of confrontation or fear of criticism. And that is another way that lack of authenticity shows up as fear. I want to rephrase that. The fear of being authentic shows up because of confrontation or criticism, right? Because I think we all want to be authentic. We want to be authentic. We want to be 100% authentically ourselves, but there's a block often stopping it. And it could be the fear of confrontation or fear of criticism. And how does it impact on you? It creates low-grade stress and anxiety and leads to an increase in visceral fat. When you are not being 100% authentically you, there's a sabotage that sets itself up. Because if you truly honor your heart, mind, spirit, and body, the choices you make honor that. But when you're making choices that don't honor that 100% you move into that annoyance, frustration, victim mode. I can't, it never, nothing ever works for me, nothing ever happens for me, no matter what I do, nothing works, blah, blah, blah. All that creates that low-grade anxiety and leads to visceral fat. So if you are wanting to release that visceral fat, very difficult to do if you are just not being yourself 100% authentically you. Right now, we are living with 5D, what they call 5-dimensional energies. What does that mean? It means what you think and what you believe you will attract. On the 21st of December this year, we went through a change. We left the age of the Piscean era behind, and the age of Pisces was all about control, money, power, a lot of, it's more a masculine world. And then the shift came on December 21. And what we're seeing right now in our own parliament, in particular, but we're seeing in a lot of organizations, is that old patriarchal, male-dominated world is shifting and changing. Because the Aquarian age is about community, collaboration, and love. And guess who does that better than anyone else? Women. And I don't know if you saw yesterday on the news with Christine Holgate, the former CEO of Australia Post, just went to town talking about the male way of bullying in the workplace. And I would think there are a lot of women today who would have been triggered by that because she spoke absolute truth about the culture that exists. And I watched it 3 or 4 times. She was so eloquent and she was so good in what she spoke to. But it's also happening prior, in the weeks prior, where that young girl in Parliament has talked about her being raped in a minister's office. And that took an enormous amount of courage for her to come out and say that. But the way it had been dealt with and the way it hadn't been talked about, that doesn't exist any longer. Why? Because we've shifted to a new way of being. And that age of Aquarius is all about that. The Aquarian age, it's all about that. Collaboration, communication, love, all those things that we do so well. So what we're seeing now, we're seeing the lifting of the veils, we're seeing the falling down of this, and that's why we're going through what we're going through at the moment, because you can't create change without some destruction. We're seeing this all happen out, and the key for us now, as the wise women on this call, the wise women on this call are here to make a difference in your circle of influence. And it's not what you say necessarily to your circle of influence, it's what you do. It's who you are. It's how you be in your space. And, when I'm talking, in my online Stronger and Leaner Lighter program, I talk all the time. It's weight loss is never about food and exercise. Never. In order to release the weight that no longer serves you, in particular the visceral fat we talk about all the time, it is a whole mind, body, spirit experience. Because when you're totally aligned and being courageously authentic, the choices you make are different. Let me know with a heart or a like if this is making sense. It's a totally different way of being. Rather than focusing on what you do, you ask yourself the deeper questions. Am I being 100% courageously, authentically me in the choices I'm making? Body, relationship, and bank account. Now, for many of you who are going through this right now, you may find your friendship groups are changing. You may find that relationships you had with people are changing. You may find that you're attracted to different types of people all of a sudden. You may find that you are not getting the same joy out of the work that you do that you did a year ago or 6 months ago. That's what this change is all about. Because what it's doing is asking you to ask the deeper questions. Am I truly living authentically in everything I do? Where am I holding back from speaking my truth? And the thing about speaking your truth is that you are speaking your truth without an attachment to the outcome. You're not speaking your truth to get a response from somebody. And when you're 100% authentically you and you're standing in your own truth, it's not about other people's responses. It's not about attacking them either. It's just speaking your truth. It's just being authentically you. It's about holding that space that is for you. That's the key element. But if you're hung up on speaking your truth, wanting somebody to change, that's not being authentic. That's being a victim. Because it's like I can't have a good life, or I can't I can't be authentic unless you agree with me. It's got nothing to do with that. It's very much about you. It's very much about you speaking your truth, letting go of the attachment to the outcome, and just knowing in your heart and your soul that that is your honest truth. And the same goes for the food that you eat. If you're not 100% authentically you, if you're being let down in some area, we reach for foods, wine, whatever, to dull the feeling. We reach for the foods with the serotonin boost because we want to feel better, because we're not living our truth. But if you're living your truth and you're 100% authentic, then you make the choices that honor that authenticity. And I'm seeing right now is that as you live more of your truth, your body actually requires less food. And the food that you eat has a lighter feel about it. And that's not to say, good and bad foods, carbohydrates, it's just the way it is, because the choice is different. It's the difference. It's a different feeling. So before we move into I want to also mention this, is the words you are not saying is the reality you're manifesting. What do I mean by that? Because we can often have these thoughts, like someone will say to you, how's it? Oh, I'm really good. I'm really focused. I'm on path with all my goals, heading forwards. I'm really focused on, the universe manifesting. But in your mind, you're going, this never happens to me. Who do I think I am? The beliefs that little sits in the back of the amygdala is driving it. It's the words you're not saying that's manifesting the reality you're living in. So if things aren't working for you, the question to ask is, what's going on for me? Because that's what the 5D energy, the fifth dimensional energy is all about. It happens instantaneously. I'll share a story. I was sitting here yesterday. I was doing some research on some on the different types of vegetables that are good for you, green vegetables. And I was reading something about asparagus. I thought, we haven't had asparagus for ages. I'd love to have some asparagus. Literally 5 minutes later, Jerry walked in the door after he'd been shopping to Woolworths and said, oh, look, asparagus, fresh asparagus was at Woolworths today. I thought, oh, gee, that was quick. I'm working on the lotto numbers. That's the next piece. But that's the deal. I was thinking it. He walks in with asparagus. How does that happen? And I can't tell you the number of times this week I have thought something, intended something, wanted something, bang, an opportunity arose for me to manifest it. But the opposite is also true. When that doesn't happen, I ask myself the question, what's going on for me? Because there's still stuff I still tap on every day. That old, who do you think you are? What makes you think you're so special? What makes you think at your age you can do these huge goals you want? That still comes up. So I've got to tap on that. So let me know if this is resonating with you. Let's have a look. Oh, we've got some comments here. Where are we? Sandy, yes. I'm sitting here nodding a lot. Oh, cool, yes. Children should be seen and not heard. Exactly. Right, Sandy? So then how does that manifest now? I should be seen and not heard. And there's a lot of that went on for women. Women should be seen and not heard as well. D, and the women who didn't support are now unwell. Isn't that interesting? That was that down girl in Canberra, right? Isn't that interesting? Unwell. Mm-hmm. Sandy, different people, different future view. Yes, absolutely. And what would it take to change the view? Mm-hmm. Like attracts like. Now that's connection. That's right. Absolutely. And you will find, we went to a function on Sunday, and it was beautiful event, and they were all people who have the same way of thinking in terms of what we're talking about now, manifesting and fifth dimensional energies and all that stuff. Oh, the energy was amazing. It was just amazing. It was just this lightness. It was just so beautiful. We need to find our tribe. It's so important. All right, we're going to tap on it. Before we do, I do want to thank a big shout out to our sponsors, NAS Cosmetics, NASCOSMETICS.com.au. Jen Hines, absolutely brilliant woman, has created this amazing makeup range. I have it on, wear it all the time, love it. So good to know that the stuff I'm putting on my face is actually non-toxic and Australian made and made of all natural products, and you are supporting a woman in business. So check out NAS Cosmetics before you head to the next, all those big department stores like Chemist Warehouse or any of those to buy your next cosmetics. Check out Jen. Her products, I bought mine back in, where are we now? December, I think. Would have been before Christmas. Not even November. I must ask Jen. Would have been November maybe. And what is it now? Into April, middle April. I'm still got plenty. So it lasts a long time. All right, let's tap on it. Shall we? Shall we tap? I want you to pick something that's happened recently where you knew that you either didn't speak your truth or you were fearful of speaking the truth. Just anything you can think of, or it might be that you've been sabotaging your body. But I will say, even though I'll say this time, I know this time I didn't speak my truth. And I want you to measure that level of emotion about it. I'll say I'm frustrated with myself, and I'll say it's in my gut and it's about an 8. You've got a pen and paper handy, write it down, and I'll show you how to do it. All right, here we go. Even though I know I held back and I didn't speak the truth, and it makes me feel frustrated, I deeply and completely accept myself and how I feel. Even though at that moment the fear arose and I could feel the frustration in my stomach, I deeply and completely accept myself and how I feel. Even though sometimes I feels fearful to speak my truth. Who do I think I am? I deeply and completely accept myself and how I feel. I feel frustrated when I don't speak my truth. The fear just comes up for me. I feel frustrated afterwards. I try to speak my truth, but things just get in the way. And then I'm frustrated with myself. I just feel this fear around speaking my truth. What will they think? Will they judge me? What will they think of me? Maybe I don't know who I am. After all, who do I think I am? I feel so frustrated when I don't speak my truth. It's the fear of speaking my truth. All those memories in the past when I've spoken my truth. This frustration around not speaking my truth. Take a deep breath and let it go. All right. So your job for this week, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to tap on all the times where you haven't spoken your truth, or you haven't been able to be 100% you, or you had a choice to make and you step back from it. You didn't want to make the choice because you weren't sure whether people would like you or accept you or whatever it is. So as Brene Brown calls it, it's courageous authenticity. It's a verb. It's a daily action to speak your truth. But remember that every time you don't speak your truth, every time you're not 100% courageously authentic to yourself, you send a signal that you're not good enough to yourself. And in this time, this age of Aquarius, this 5D energies, you are manifesting what you believe. The words you're not saying is what you're manifesting. And if you want to create a different body, relationship, or bank account, ask yourself, where am I not being 100% myself? Where am I not courageously speaking my truth? And it'll show up for you. Every time you sabotage with the food that you eat, ask yourself the question, where am I not being courageously authentic? Where am I not being true to myself? Because when you do that, you just make different choices. That's all it is. And the beauty about this time, remember, is it's our time. It's the wise woman time. So what we're here for. We're here to be that circle of influence and make a difference, because some people have stuffed it up and they need us to show them how to do it. That's what we're here for. That's why we've been through everything we've been through. We've been through all the pain and the challenges and the frustrations and that's what we've been. That's why we're here, because we've lived it. And now we need to step into ourselves. I'll just do a quick reframe, okay, to finish off. Even though sometimes I feel fearful about being authentically myself, I choose to step into my power right now. Even though fear has often held me back, I choose to release any attachment to an outcome. Even though it's the people, words, and events of my past that have gotten me to this point, I choose to forgive them all so I can step into my true authenticity. Tap. I choose to step into my own power. I choose to feel the fear and do it anyway. I choose to release all attachment to outcome. I choose to forgive all those who've stopped me from being authentically me. I choose to honor my own authenticity. It's time for me to be 100% me. I choose to forgive myself for all the self-sabotage. I choose to honor who I am. Take a deep breath and let it go. Time to expect miracles. Have a great week, everybody. There will be no show next week. I'm off for next week, but I will be back the week after for the Stronger, Leaner, Lighter show. Let me know how you go. Any comments below later on if you've noticed a difference, if you've felt a difference. It's time for us, the wise women, to step up. We can't step up unless we're 100% courageously, authentically who we are. It's all we need to be. See, I got some. Oh, my mouse isn't working. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome, Dee. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and I'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Bye for now.